Thank you. Gosh, I'm going to tell such a different story to you guys today. I'm excited. So I want to start by telling you that I had a hair appointment today at 12 o'clock. And I couldn't go to my hair appointment today. And my story is going to tell you why I couldn't go, but basically I also had clients this morning. And all you ladies out there that know how hard it is to get your hair appointments, right? They are on the calendar and you do not move them. But I wanted to be here with you bold and bright, beautiful people. So I knew, looking at my day and looking at my clients this morning and looking at being here with you this evening, that if I did my hair appointment at 12 o'clock, my day was going to be this big old squished jumble of mess. And when I fell into bed tonight, I was going to experience a major emotion called guilt. And guilt for me is what my story of grit is all about. Because guilt is what actually fueled the grit in me to keep going through a lot of ups and some pretty big downs through my entrepreneurial journey. I started out, I went to college, got a degree, I was gonna be a teacher, came out a crazy marketing lady. I don't know how that happened, but, and I got some really great jobs right out of the loop. And I worked for Procter & Gamble for a while, and I was doing grassroots marketing, so I was sampling coffee and in the field. And they decided to eliminate the grassroots department, and they offered me a job in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I grew up in Portland, Oregon. And so it wasn't quite what I wanted to do. So I decided to take a severance package that they gave me, and I had 3 months' salary. Just so happens that I also just recently had my first little one. And so I really decided, what should I do? Started looking for regular jobs. And then I heard about this entrepreneur thing. And I looked at it and I thought, oh, have my cake, eat it too. This could be good. I can stay home. I can pursue my ideas. I can sell my ideas. I can be there for the baby. This is going to be great. So I started doing some events and trade shows and sponsorship and sales and things of that sort. I bought a trade show. I sold a trade show. It went really great for about 4 or 5 years. And then one afternoon, I was changing my second baby's diaper. And she had like a big old crusty, yucky nose full of like mucus. We're going to talk about boogers a lot, by the way. So if that offends you, it's worth it sticking. So it was like this really big gross, you know. So I had this big sucker thing that how many of you have kids? Okay. How many of you have a consumer product? Like that you sell to retail? So if I say like EDI and things like that, I don't know how much I need to explain myself, but that's good to know. So I was changing her diaper. I just, I had the wipes there. I was using the saline sucker, and she was screaming. It wasn't working. So I put the saline on the wipe, and I wiped her nose. And it was this super uber cool, like Steven Spielberg Matrix moment. She like stopped crying, and she kind of looked at me. And she was like, oh, that's kind of pleasant, Mom. And I thought, wow, these are great. A wipe for your nose. I got to go find some of these, right? Because your nose is as tender as your tushy. And when you walk down the tushy aisle, you've got dry and wet. So I'm sure that I can go to the Kleenex aisle and I can find some dry and wet, but I couldn't. So I started researching and I came up with a name, and I decided to call them Boogie Wipes, and I came up with a logo, and I came up with a formula, and I started filing a patent, and then I kind of went, ooh, this is a lot of money, and I don't really know, and I can't really do that stuff, and I've never done that before, and I kind of got scared. So I decided then that I needed 2 things. I broke rule number 9, and I got a business partner. And we were 50-50. And I loved it. She was a woman who was passionate. She was a great mother. I admired her. She had an amazing skill set that was way beyond mine. I really felt like we were going to be a good match. So I got a business partner, and the other thing that I did was I got some money, because through that, I got the rest of what I needed to be able to make the first investment. So we both put in $7,500, and off we went with a garage full of Boogie Wipes in our garage. The first chain that we sold into was Fred Meyer. This was before they were purchased by Kroger. And it was awesome because you could go to the little distribution center down in Portland, and you could work with them without having to have a pallet jack. So it could be like semi-truck, Toyota Tacoma, semi-truck. And it was rad. So we totally delivered into Fred Meyer, and things went really well. And then we got the call that I had been doing some PR and marketing from, this is way pre-Shark Tank, but this mompreneur thing was kind of becoming cool. And so this television show called The Big Idea with Donnie Deutsch, which is on CNBC. They called and they were like, hey, you guys should come out and be on our show. And we're like, yeah. So we went out and sat across from some very prestigious people in business and television. and told them our story. In the meantime, we realized that on the flight home, we could catch a meeting with Rite Aid, and we'd really wanted to get into Rite Aid. So we landed the meeting, we're super excited. We go film the show before the meeting, and on the show, which is pre-recorded, we're like, oh, and we're sold nationwide in Rite Aid stores. And then we went to Rite Aid and said, guess what? We just told everybody that we're sold nationwide in your stores. So all you have to do is say yes, and you're in, right? And this buyer looked down his nose at us. Pardon the pun. He looked down his nose at us and was like, you ladies. But we were two cute little moms selling booger wipes, so he said yes. So, so Rite Aid took us in, and I will never forget cruising through the airport with my business partner. And I am like, oh my goodness, I had this idea to help moms and boogers and save the world from snot. And now every mom anywhere in the world can be like, I need a Boogie Wipe. And she can go to her Rite Aid, she can buy it, and I can make a difference. And I don't even have to be there. This is fabulous. I was so excited. And she's like dead silent. I'm like, what's going on? She's like, we don't have any money to fill the Rite Aid order. And I'm like, wait, what? And so that's kind of how we worked the whole time. I was like, slogans and taglines and moms and woo, and she was like, money, 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 we need to get some money. So we started going after investors. We found two guys who, I'm not really sure of their whole story. I kind of think that they, I don't know if this is being recorded, but I kind of think that they won a bet in a game for the licensing to the WWF for every t-shirt in Walmart. And overnight, they were huge. And their accountant was like, you gotta diversify? And they were like, WWF, t-shirts, boogers. Okay, we'll give you some money. So they gave us $1 million in a Series A, and I'm sure not by coincidence, they waited until we had the Walmart purchase order in our hand. But as soon as that came through, we had an amazing 4 or 5 years. We have tons of stories of I'll never forget, our Sam's Club order. It was a $2 million order, and it was coming down from Seattle on a truck. The driver fell asleep at the wheel. Praise God, he's all right. The driver fell asleep at the wheel, jackknifed it. It went up in flames. We get a call from the manufacturer. He's like, turn on the news. Do you see that fire? Yeah, those are blazing boogies. We're like, wait, what? Literally, the order was on fire. So we called the Sam's Club buyer. We're gonna have to fill some of these spots with boxes and cute graphics. So that's when I came in, made boxes and cute graphics. And we filled the pallet. We borrowed from, robbed from Peter, paid Paul. And then another great story, which I don't know if any of you have this might be a first, but you talk about the inventory, cash flow, chicken and the egg problem that you constantly have when you're in consumer products. And we'd been doing really well with the manufacturer, but we kind of started to get behind on our orders because we had 12 employees at this time. We ran an office out of Beaverton. Things got tight. We were rookies. We were totally inexperienced. We were still bleeding money, trying to figure out as we went along. And he wouldn't release our inventory, and we had to ship, or we couldn't get the money. We couldn't invoice. So we literally sent someone to Florida to pretend to be someone that he was not in order to rent a U-Haul and show up, I'm here to pick up the such and such, thinking we wouldn't get caught. We did not get caught. The police came, and the entire day was spent in the courthouse trying to bail out our friend, but we got the order, so, just a little expensive. Talk about losing a margin on an order. Things were really, they were fun, they were challenging. We had 4 huge years of growth. But then, I was not doing well personally. I had another baby in the middle of all this. My husband, I call him my husband at the time, because I think X is kind of a mean way to refer to somebody that's like the father of your children. So my husband at the time was a pilot, so he was gone a lot, so I was alone. I was working the 100 hours a week that it took to keep things moving. I had 3 small kids. I started coping in ways that were not good and not healthy for me, and I got myself on a path of self-destruction. And I had to go to my business partner one day and say, I have to make a change, and I don't really know what to do or how to do it, but I have to take a break. I have to reconfigure my position. I can take less pay. What do we need to do? She was incredibly understanding and incredibly patient with me for a little while, but then tension grew between the two of us because I started behaving a lot differently. I started drawing some pretty significant lines between me and the business. And that was really hard for her because I changed the expectations that have been set for me. So anytime somebody expects you to respond to an email at 11 o'clock at night, it's because you're responding to emails at 11 o'clock at night. So if you're mad that people are doing that, then stop emailing them back. So that was the first thing that I had to start to learn, was that, what people were wanting me to do was because I set myself up for that. And I started changing. And that was hard for her. She missed her sidekick. She was frustrated and upset. The company, meanwhile, we were trying to go through evaluation to pose ourselves for sale. And things were tense. We were coming under a microscope. And ultimately, we got to a day where the board had to decide between the girl over here that was like, save the sleeve, Captain Booger, Boogie Fever, this is fun, and the girl that signed the checks and knew where all the money was. So what would you do if by then they'd put $2.3 million in? So my position was eliminated in the company, and I had to leave. And then I had to hire an attorney, which, my apologies to all the people in the room that work with attorneys and like attorneys, but it is horrible when you have to hire an attorney. It basically is like telling the world, hey, guess what? I can't get along well with others. I mean, you're basically like, hey, I tried to do something and I couldn't get what I needed and they wouldn't compromise and now we're here and we can communicate and I'm big and he's bigger and it sucks. And I tell my kids never to say the word sucks, but it sucks. It was horrible. So I had to hire an attorney, and I was able to get a year severance of my pay coming in, or up until the point that the company sold, when I'd be paid out on my stock, which at that time was valued in the 7 digits. So I took a deep breath, I stepped back. I was super sad that I couldn't be in my Boogie Baby anymore, and I couldn't run it and help, and now I had friends and people that I loved working for it. At the same time, I knew desperately that that is just what God needed me to do in that moment, because I was a wreck, and my family needed me, and my kids needed me, and I needed to get my life back on track. So I stepped out of the company for a while. It sold almost a year to the date later to an amazing company. I could not be happier with its home. They employ ex-cons and homeless people off the street and single moms, and they manufacture it all locally, and they're doing a beautiful job with the brand now. But at the time that it sold, there was a board meeting held, and I was told that my shares a part of my shares were going to be paid out, and everything was going to be honky-dory. So we go to the board meeting happens, hang up the phone, I take a deep breath, thinking I'm closing a chapter, opening another door. Get a phone call 5 minutes later. Just kidding. The Series A investor, he actually exercised some options, and they said a whole bunch of fancy stuff, and you're not going to get anything. I'm like, wait, what? like you mean like right now? Or you mean, well, your stock's been rolled into an earnout, which over the course of the next 3 years, if the company performs at a certain level, then you might get it. And he starts rolling it. And I'm thinking, I mean, you guys know what I'm thinking. You're thinking this, yeah, right. If I'm not going to get anything. So I hung up the phone. It was a rough couple weeks. It was a rough day. It was a rough year. I had to file a bankruptcy, foreclosed on my house. I had a divorce. My car was literally towed out of my driveway in front of me. And this is, I think, where some true grit starts to come in, because there were certainly enough people around me telling me that you need to get a regular job. You need to get your act together. You're a single mom now. You've got 3 kids over here. Go figure something out. You need to get a regular job. And I'm thinking, I know, just a minute, just wait, and I can't, there's this thing. And you know what the thing was? It was anger, because I had been living in that, I have to right now, I have to right now, I have to right now, and then later I'll get to, for so long. I mean, I missed first steps, I missed first words. The nanny and the grandkids saw the first 5 years of my kid's life, and it was all because there was gonna be this financial and this future thing over here. I'm just doing this, you're going to college, and I'm like, wait, what? That's not what this entrepreneur thing was supposed to be about. Have I been tricked? Are you kidding me? This is a joke. Where's the camera? I was so upset because of all the moments that I turned away from the daily things happening in front of me because I had to work. I had to hustle every single day, all the time, and I couldn't turn it off. And I heard the guilt, and I heard the shame, and I heard the whispers, and I heard the, maybe put down the phone, maybe kiss your husband goodnight, maybe call your mom. Nope, they'll understand later. I don't have time to explain it right now. They'll understand later. And I just kept turning my back on it, thinking that I was gonna be able to give them this big gift of, here's later, and there's no later. So before I decided for sure that I was gonna get the regular job, which I did take some time thinking about, I really thought about that. And I thought about the fact that the whole reason that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, follow my own dreams, make them all come true, make my ideas come to life, set my own schedule, was so that I could be happy, so that I can enjoy the lifestyle. I was taking all of the risk, but I wasn't allowing myself to feel any of the rewards. I was, leaving the office at 3 o'clock to go pick up the kids, but then I was on the phone in the car, on the pickup line with somebody from work. I wasn't really working when I was working, mom when I was mom, wife when I was wife, daughters. I wasn't fulfilling all of those roles. Everything had work over the top of it, absolutely everything. So I did something that I think one of my friends tells me all the time. She's like, you basically are starting to think like a man now. I compartmentalized. I got some buckets out in my head. I was like, all right, here's what I'm gonna do now. I'm gonna approach my entrepreneurship as a job, literally a job. I am going to set hours, and I am going to go in, and I am going to work, and I am going to focus, and I am going to kill it, and I'm going to turn away from the laundry and not answer the text messages and not let other people set agendas, and I'm working right now. And then when I am with my kids and my family, I am going to be mom right now. And I don't have my work email on my phone anymore, and I'm not going to allow people access into my life, so that no matter what happens with whatever I do next, I will not have a later and a now. I will have this today, and I will feel good about it, and I won't go to bed at night feeling guilty for all the things I missed out on. And I decided to try again. So during the time at Boogie Wipes, I'd made a lot of contacts, and I'd made a lot of friends and a lot of moms and a lot of people that wanted some help. And this was 4 years ago, and I thought, what if I could help them? What if I could take everything I've learned? And you'd be surprised how many people say to me, okay, tell us what not to do to end up like you. And I'm like, all right, get out a pencil, let's go. And so I do, and I tell them, and I share with them that. And there's been over 300 now that I've been able to watch go from idea into, one of my clients just got into Kroger yesterday, and I'm so excited for her. And I really have stayed true. My laptop is not on my kitchen counter anymore. It's in my office. I've really stayed true to the lessons of compartmentalizing. My consulting is growing year after year. I've gotten some major projects that have come in. And then just in the last year, I decided to step out a little bit more, now that I kind of feel like I have a good handle on loving every moment and being in every moment. And I invented another product. So it's a grown-up boogie wipe. It's called Bless You. So I want to show you guys, because you know what? I just got it off the slow boat from China on Monday. And I'm really excited about it. So it's called Bless You, and it is very sexy, even though I know sexy is kind of, not always. But I'm hoping that, adults have boogers too. And I have no idea what's going to happen with this. I literally just got it, and I'm now looking at it and going, I learned a lot. How am I going to do this different? So if there's any sales reps in the room, come call me. But I'm inventing again. And I also am still doing my consulting, and I'm also jumping into something totally new and crazy random. I just launched a for-profit website called The Mother Ring, which is going to take stories of mothering, and you're going to basically say, what have you encountered? What are your struggles? What do your kids encounter? And then you're going to put it in, and it's going to match you with a mom that you can reach out to for help that's ahead of you, and then it's going to ask you to reach down and give help to another mom. And I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm just starting it this week. So you can understand now, after you've heard my story, why I canceled my hair appointment. Because I've been there, I've done that, and I don't want to do it anymore. And I highly encourage you, every day in your businesses, and I know many of you feel so buried and so exhausted and so tired, and the sky is falling, and you're not sure. Just, if you can do one thing, listen for the guilt. Listen for the whisper. Whatever you want to call it, your conscience, your guilt, your shame, I call it my Jesus, whatever you want to call it that speaks to you and tells you a better plan and a better path for your choices, just listen to it. Just honor it. Just set the work aside. Be present. Make the call. Show up for the game. Do that so that when you get to the end of the day, you can go, how much of what's the treasures in my heart are, did I match up with the time in my day? If my spouse is a treasure to me, did I match that up with the time that I have spent being near them or around them? If my kids are a treasure to me, did I genuinely connect and make eye contact? Do I know who they sit next to in the classroom and what they had for lunch? So I'm not asking you to, only work 40 hours a week. I'm just simply saying to listen for the whisper, make a change and make a choice so that you don't get to your later and realize everything that you've left. That's my story.